inspire the marketing and advertising community in Sri Lanka to learn from each other and to raise the bar of marketing communication efforts to global standards. Today's Effiespiration is conducted by Darsha Hewapanna, who is a passionate marketer with many years of experience and knowledge managing international and local brands, covering categories such as home care, personal care, and food under her wings. Darsha is currently working as an assistant brand manager at Ceylon Biscuits Limited, and today she will take us through the topic, what is a brand? So without further ado, let me welcome Darsha. The screen is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Famil, for that lovely introduction. So good evening, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Famil?
Yes, Darsha, I can see the screen.
All right, okay. So the topic that I've chosen for today is a very broad area. I mean, when you say what is a brand, it's a huge area. But for this discussion purpose, I have made a scope for myself. So I'll be speaking about what is a brand and its importance, branding and communication. How do we take our brand to the consumer, and how can we make memorable brands through communication? So moving on to my first area, that is what is a brand and its importance. Many scholars and institutions have defined brands in so many different ways, which we have, learned and heard. And these are a few definitions that I got for you guys from Philip Kotler, AMA. So, uh, however, while I was digging deep into this subject, I found a very interesting, a new perspective of what a brand has become in the current context with all the evolutions that has happened. So, Mr. Hector Potty, a creative director at Method, which is a global strategic design and engineering consultancy firm um, based in UK, sees a brand as the big why, or why you exist, the reason for your existence. So let me put it this way. For an example, if you take Nike, Nike doesn't sell shoes anymore. They exist to sell beliefs. And if you take Apple, Apple doesn't exist to sell electronic devices anymore. They exist to sell simplicity, basically. So if you look at it that way, Potty's definition of what a brand is, why you exist, is very suitable for the current context. And I guess this is something that we can think about, and we can this is how a way in which we can look at what a brand is. Having said that, the importance, what is the importance of a brand? I mean, why do we talk about it every day in different forums? I will not go into literature or research, but I will let you think about it and let you make your own conclusion about it. But before that, let me show you three examples, and that would be a normal cup of coffee and a Starbucks, and an unbranded laptop versus an Apple laptop. I mean, the Apple laptop is double the price of an unbranded laptop. A normal watch versus a Rolex. I mean, why? What's the power of a brand to bargain a higher monetary value from the consumer? And what makes a brand so important that our consumers need to pay us more, the brands more? I'll just leave it there openly for you guys to decide. For a brand to born, branding plays a major role. And in order to do branding, communication plays a key role. But when it comes to the communication plan or crafting a communication, there are so many factors that we consider as marketers and advertisers, right? So if I ask it from you guys, someone could say consumer insight is the utmost important factor, and another could say understanding the competitive landscape and the brand objectives is very essential in crafting our communication, right? So likewise, there will be so many answers that you guys can give me. And I guess another important factor that a majority of us would say is money or the budget. So does this mean that businesses with low or no budgets can't make an impactful communication for their brands? Is it mandatory to have money? Let's take a look at this example and let's talk about it.
In September 2017, KFC's Twitter handle followed 35,000 accounts, which seemed like a lot. So we unfollowed all of those 35,000 accounts in one fell swoop and refollowed only 11 back. Those accounts? 5 Spice Girls and 6 guys named Herb. Get it? 11 herbs and spices, like my original recipe? Then we waited for people to notice, and 0 people noticed. So we waited, and waited, and we waited some more. Nearly 2 months passed. Then, one guy noticed.
KFC follows 11 people. Those 11 people, 5 Spice Girls and 6 guys named Herb. 11 herbs and spices. I need time to process this.
So he shared it, and some people saw it, and they thought it was funny, so then they shared it, and those people thought it was pretty funny too. And then, things got a little crazy. The guy who found it even got famous for finding it.
Mike Edgett here from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, gained internet fame when he discovered a secret on the KFC's Twitter page.
Before we knew it, we were on the front page of Reddit. Skeptics and conspiracy theorists came from all corners of the internet to argue the validity of the discovery. Of course, we had to reward our intrepid Twitter sleuth with a special gift from the Colonel.
He received, and this is amazing, a Kentucky Fried thank you from Colonel Sanders himself. Look at this. This is not amazing.
People like that too. So much so, we were back on the front page of Reddit again. 2 weeks later, everyone was still talking about the old Colonel and his 11 herbs and spices.
It's Herb, not Herb.
Showing up in over 360,000 publications and posts across the globe. All told, our little Twitter joke earned nearly 2.5 billion total impressions. The best part of it all, the entire stunt cost exactly nothing. Well, I mean, we had to pay for the painting, but that's neither here nor there.
Hats off to KFC for having such a good sense of humor.
Now that's finger licking good.
Yeah, KFC, I'm sure they have a considerable amount of budgets to carry out their marketing and advertising activities. But this campaign specifically, they just didn't spend a single penny. What they did was simple. They just unfollowed their followers except for 11 individuals. Yes, I mean, it took some time for people to notice, but they noticed eventually, right? And the campaign became a success at the end. The brand became the hero. So that this actually, this is one example that proves we don't necessarily need big budgets to develop impactful, so impactful brand communications. That brings me to my third section of how do we take the brand to the consumer. So there are multiple commonly practiced ways to do this. There's actually no one way or a right way to say that this is exactly how you should take the brand to your consumer. It's actually very interesting to see how successful brands reach their consumers, and one such way is by creating relevance. And that's exactly what this particular brand did.
In Tunisia, a market driven by youth consumers, Orange had launched the best 4G, but was not known for it. To drive consideration, we showed Orange's speed and coverage by choosing retro gaming, a huge trend with Tunisian youth, and created a product demonstration that worked at its best, only on Orange's 4G network. Now, Street Fighter is Tunisia's most popular retro game. But while the game has characters from many countries, it never had one from Tunisia. So, we tapped into the most famous, iconic, and hilarious street fighters of Tunisia, the Harzas. Women who work in Turkish baths called hammams and fight over stealing each other's clients. The Hammam Fighter! Instead of objectifying women like most games do, we kept it real. As a brand and mobile game, Hammam Fighter featured two Harzas in an iconic showdown, each with their own uniquely Tunisian range of weapons and finishing moves, such as the slipper smackdown, the finger in the eye, and the towel drop.
Round 2. Fight! Fire! Perfect!
The game worked seamlessly on Orange's network and not as smoothly on other networks. Online films reach 100% of Tunisian youth. Social content, people's gameplay videos, leaderboards, and the Harzas at Tunisia's Comic-Con promoted the game. Through gaming influencers and TV shows, the idea engaged youth across the country and then trended across top news and media platforms. The Hammam Fighter!
Okay. So Orange, which is a telecommunication provider in Indonesia, wanted to say that they have the best 4G connection, and they just made it very relevant to their community by taking a platform which is very popular among their audience, the retro game, the Street Fighter. And they basically introduced an Indonesian iconic figure, the Hammam Fighter, and the users basically loved it. They were able to play the game smoothly on Orange's network, not on any other network. So by doing this, Orange was able to take the brand to the consumer and win them. And for that, what they basically did was they made themselves relevant to their audience. So another way that successful brands reach their consumer is by solving a problem or standing up for a social cause. So let's take a look at another example quickly to see how a successful brand has actually reached their consumers by solving a problem.
We've got 4 million Australians that have been food insecure in the last 12 months. And that's a disgrace.
Food Bank, a charity who provide food relief and breakfast programs to over 100,000 hungry children in Western Australia, was facing a crisis.
Food Bank was told its funding would be slashed in half.
A mean and foolish decision of the government, cutting meals to 710,000 hungry people every month.
In the lead up to Christmas, the charity urgently needed to raise funds to help food-deprived children.
Food Bank WA are hoping their new drive to sell empty cereal boxes will help feed the hungry.
Charity Food Bank is asking shoppers to buy an empty cereal box for $5.
We created Hungry Puffs, the breakfast over 100,000 West Aussie kids wake up to. Soon, shoppers who were in the process of buying food for their own families were encouraged to support a much bigger cause, helping feed kids who go without breakfast every day. Stocked in over 40 supermarkets across the state, every time an empty box of Hungry Puffs was purchased, 10 local children would receive their next meal.
New Hungry Puffs, they leave kids feeling hungry.
Supported by an integrated campaign and online store, the cereal box of nothing quickly became something.
Food Bank launching a new tongue-in-cheek advertising campaign. Each box costs just $5.
That's enough to help feed 10 children.
Starting important conversations amongst grocery shoppers, influencers, and decision makers throughout Australia and the world. And after 4 weeks, Hungry Puffs had provided over 620,000 meals to food-deprived children, more than doubling donations from the previous year. Hungry Puffs, the empty box of cereal feeding hungry West Aussie kids.
Yeah, So, like you saw, Hungry Puffs took a simple step to solve, or they took a stand to solve this social problem that we have, hunger, by selling empty cereal boxes. I mean, by doing that, they were able to reach millions of consumers, and that's one powerful way to reach the consumer, I would say. So, they not only reached the consumer successfully, but they actually help the community, help the children who are in need. So another way brands reach their consumers is by breaking barriers. So I guess Nike would be the best example for this. So let's take a look at another example, which is obviously Nike.
We're never alone. And that is our strength. Because when we're doubted, we'll play as one. When we're held back, we'll go farther and harder. If we're not taken seriously, we'll prove that wrong. And if we don't fit the sport, we'll change the sport. We know things won't always go our way.
And the world's sporting events are postponed or cancelled.
But whatever it is, we'll find a way. And when things aren't fair, we'll come together for change.
You have a responsibility
to make this world a better place. And no matter how bad it gets, we will always come back stronger. Because nothing can stop what we can do together.
When everything, all productions, businesses, and even our lives for that matter, I mean, when everything were put on hold due to this pandemic, Nike came up with this amazing production. I mean, what you saw is an aggregation of stock footages, right? To give out a very powerful message to the community to break barriers and to take a step forward. And they put it out just like that, and they said that we are in this together. So moving on to another powerful way to take our brand to the consumer that is being practiced globally and even locally is by driving a purpose or by having a purpose.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
masculinity. Is this the best a man can get? Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy? What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie.
Come on. To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Not cool. Not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men.
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
Someone treat each other, okay?
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
Yes, Gillette. They decided to be the voice of the people and said the best a man can get is by challenging ourselves to do more. I mean, they gave a purpose to their brand for what they believed in to reach the consumer, and it actually really worked for Gillette. So there's one final way that I want to highlight tonight, which is used by brands to reach their consumers, is by hijacking clutter or by being a clutter breaker. And Tide just did exactly that through this particular campaign that I'm going to show you.
Is this a Tide ad or is this another real ad?
Is this a Tide ad? Is this one?
Is every ad a Tide ad?
Wait a minute.
Is this a Tide commercial?
This year, Tide won the Super Bowl by doing something that's never been done before, turning every ad into a Tide ad. This is how we did it.
Yeah, just a typical Super Bowl car ad. Right? But it's a Tide ad.
What?
It's a Tide ad. Look at those clean clothes. What else would this be an ad for? A razor?
No. Tide ad.
So, does this make every Super Bowl ad a Tide ad?
I think it does.
Within seconds, hashtag Tide ad began trending. Soon, millions of viewers were suddenly questioning if every single Super Bowl ad they saw was a Tide ad. Then we took the idea further.
Hello again, ladies. Is your man the kind of man who would climb the high... I'm in a Tide ad.
And further.
Sarah? It's a Tide ad.
We even hijacked the live broadcast.
Welcome back to another Tide ad.
It was so big that other brands felt the need to say they were not a Tide ad, including the competition, but it was too late. The internet loved it so much that it immediately became a meme. And the media loved it too.
Tide stole the show.
They kind of hijacked the entire Super Bowl.
I said, baby, what are we washing our clothes with? If it's not Tide, we're doing it wrong. This was the best out of the Super Bowl. And I'm wearing a white shirt making this.
I tell ya.
So, by now you know it.
Whenever you see clothes this clean, it's a Tide ad.
Yes, Tide just went and hijacked Super Bowl, and I'm sure nothing else would have come to consumers' mind when they see a commercial in this particular season other than Tide. So they really hijacked Super Bowl, and they became a clutter breaker, and everyone's eyes were on Tide during this particular period. So this brings me to my last section, the fourth section, where I want to throw a few examples on how we can make a brand memorable through our communication. So again, there are many ways to do this that are being practiced locally and globally. So one such way is by bringing in humor to the brand or to our campaign. So let me show you one example on how humor is has been used in one successful campaign.
Snickers。兄弟，怎么样？来劲了！You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers, get some nuts.
You're not you when you're hungry. Get some nuts, is what Snickers said. So moving on to another way of making a brand memorable is by emphasizing on emotion. So joy, anger, fear, sadness, all these are emotions that are inevitable for a living being. And there are brands, there are campaigns that get stuck in our minds solely because of how they have nicely brought in emotions to their communication. So let me take you guys through two powerful brands, two powerful campaigns that have mastered this specific area I am talking about.
I lost my mind in the city of night, and the best street is in the neon light. When I heard the thunder, I could feel the rain. And the sound of rain is different. Ain't no cat on my streets in the heart of the jungle. I want you to follow me into the jungle. Ain't no cat on my streets in the heart of the jungle. I want you to follow me into the jungle. Ain't no cat on my streets in the heart of the jungle. I want you to follow me into the jungle.
So another way brands can make themselves memorable to their consumer base through communication would be music. Music is one powerful way to make your brand memorable. I mean, sometimes we see people unknowingly humming these jingles, these music that brands carry. And there are times that people remember brands from the music, but not from anything else. So this is a local example of how a brand has used music to make the brand memorable and how they have consistently used different versions of the same music since the birth of the brand.
ටිකිරි ටිකිරි ටිකිරිලියා වේදිකාව උඩට ගියා කල්ය මතක නැතුව ගියා ටිකිරි නිසා හොඳට ගියා
මංචි ටිකිරි මාරේ කොහමද ටිකිරි මොලේ?
That was in 2006 and this was in 2018.
මංචි ටිකිරි මාරි කොහොමද ටිකිරි මොලේ
And in 2020 also, they use the same music but a different version.
ළමයි ඩෙන්ගු බෝ වෙන තැන අපි විනාශ කළේ නැත්නම් හානි වෙන්නේ අපිටමයි.
මංචේ ටිකිරි මාරි. කොහොමද ටිකිරි මොලේ?
Yep. So that's it from me for today, guys. I hope all of you enjoyed it. So thanks everyone for sparing your time to listen to me on a weekday evening. So yeah, thank you and stay safe.
Thank you, Darsha, for that interesting take on what is a brand. It's always refreshing and it's fascinating to hear, learn the world of brands. And I absolutely loved all the examples that you showed, particularly the Manchi 2020 spot. I absolutely love that example. It's a beautiful piece. So, all right, you're welcome. So with that, we are concluding episode 6 of Effiespiration, and I want to thank you all for joining this session on a busy Wednesday evening. And I hope all of you got a good dose of the Effiespiration that we want to give. And also, I want to say we have planned more exciting sessions like today. So stay tuned to our social media handles. Until we see you next, stay safe and good night. Thank you.